we don't ever try to probe and get too sensitive if it feels like it. So, you have 2 episodes available of your podcast, Thanks Dad, which I've listened to. And as I was saying before, you not only are you a generous listener and I think a great podcast host.
Thank you.
And you start out, I mean, so far, every episode, you make the serious joke that you never knew your father because he's dead.
You think that's funny?
Everybody, like, that was not a joke.
It's a serious joke.
Hearing people laugh about it is
I know. Well,
pure joy to me. Actually, it is funny. Yeah.
Nava's mom is also dead, and we laugh about that a lot here.
You've got a dead
Nava was
mom.
waiting for you to bring it up.
Listen, my parents are at the threshold. We're all going to die soon.
Everybody's going to die at some point. I'm reading a book, Pay My Children. I bought it. I have too many books right now. And I was like, you're not allowed to buy any more books. But then I was at McNally the other day, like a month ago, and I saw a Pay My Children book, How We Live is How We Die. And I thought, I have to buy it. I'm not really allowed to buy any more books. Yeah. She's talking a lot about like people being scared of death. And I'm like, I don't think I'm scared of death.
Same.
Like, I don't think so. I kind of like, it's going to happen. How is it going to happen? Well, that's spooky to think about. But then again, not that spooky. Because here's the thing. When you die, it's over. It's a wrap. Like, exactly. So I think all these like intense feelings cease. And so it's fine. Mm-hmm. Yes, I laugh about the dead dad thing. Because I used to have a theory, guys. Okay. I had a theory that if he died, I wouldn't care. So I think part of why I even saying it on the podcast, no one knows this. No one knows this about me. I keep talking about like, do I seem like a girl who doesn't have a dad? I mean, in theory, I have a dad, have a dad, whatever. But like, do I come off as a girl who's like, I feel like in the movies and in TV shows, they're like, you're seeking validation and like, you want a man to, and I'm like, I don't want a man to do a motherfucking thing for me. So
because he wasn't there.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know. I feel very neutrally about, I'm like, a man could do a thing for me and I'll be appreciative, but am I like vying for validation? And no. And so anyway, he did pass last year. I want to say last summer. So it's very recent. Yeah.
That's very recent.
I was at a spa when, my mom told me, and then my uncle on his side called me, who I'm relatively close to, and he's like, you might not feel anything. And I thought, thank you for saying that, because I don't. And you're affirming me right now in that you recognize, given that they didn't really have a relationship, this might not mean anything to you. And it kind of didn't. And I kind of, to all the people who were like, no, you're going to be so sad that you don't have the possibility of a relationship. And I'm like, our lack of relationship is not a matter of like rejection from him. It's me going in the interactions I've had with you. It seems you'd be introducing a level of chaos into my life that I probably am not here for. The chaos I'm into is like going on tangents when I'm doing a podcast, eating gluten when you know you have a gluten, a sensitivity. Going on a date, and not so much this anymore, but going on a date for the story. But I'm out on that right now. So that's my chaos. But my chaos is not like toxic personalities or difficult personalities being in my orbit. I'm like, I'm not into that. I'm not really into that. So 12 years old, 13, 14.
Exactly.
Okay, because to get us back on track, Podcrushed. I felt like I had a very normal, I didn't get in trouble. Again, my trouble was like talking too much in class. I'm going to ask an authority figure a question. I would feel like I was a little bit of a like, okay, yeah, I'll do that, but why? Because that doesn't make sense. And so that had to be annoying to raise. I wouldn't want, I'm going to have to deal with that one day. I'm sure my kids will be like that.
Your mom, you talked about your mom being between West Virginia and Baltimore and spending time maybe like throughout the week or on the weekend with just your siblings at home. And I wonder what that was like for you. Like if I think back to middle school and I imagine my parents out of the house, I feel like for a time that could be really fun and exciting. Like I remember one time my parents were traveling and my brother, who was probably 20 at the time, took care of me. And there was like chaos at home. Like we had frozen a Dr. Pepper and taken it out and it exploded in the room. And like there's memories like that. But I wonder, Was that your experience, or were there times when you wish she was home?
Yeah, I think there were times when I was like, this is so not fair that she has to go work all the way in West Virginia and like be gone for a week at a time, because we were very close. And so that was hard. But there were always people around. Like my aunt, I remember the time I had the little baby meltdown about that. My aunt was there. My aunt from London, she was there. Like, and so I was surrounded by a lot of love. But yeah, my mom's like such a cool, easy lady. And so I do think more than that, it was more like, oh, I want her to not have to be in residency somewhere else. How did this not pan out? And then I think by the time I was like, I think sixth grade was the last year she was away, like in splitting time like that, if I'm not mistaken. And so that more than the absence of a dad being felt and being like sad about that, I was like, I want my mom to like just be here, just be here full time. And so that was the last year of that. But as far as my siblings go, I feel like they all felt really responsible for me because I'm the youngest. My sister was away at college, literally down the street at Johns Hopkins, but like never, just living a life. And then I was with my brothers, and yeah, I feel like they both felt like we have to make sure she's okay. But that was easy.
You're fine.
I wasn't even like boring. I was fun, but I was bored. I wasn't I wasn't living in a movie, so I wasn't like getting in trouble or like I want to like hook up with guys when I'm 13. I'm like, I was kind of a tomboy too. And so I remember the first time someone said I was attractive, because I just never thought of myself that way. But that is not to say I thought I wasn't attractive. I wasn't thinking about it at all. And I heard a guy, are you allowed to say, I'm going to say last names. I rarely remember people's first and last names. This guy, Josh Curtin, we were on a field trip, maybe to Hershey Park. I don't know. We were on a bus, and we were 13 or 14 at this time. I think maybe 14. And we're on a field trip on a bus, and I hear him say my name. And I remember where on the bus I was. We were like seats apart, and I was like, what? Why did you say my name? He's like, we were naming all the girls in whatever grade that we think are hot. And I was like, what? Aww. Oh, well, that's interesting. And even still, when I went to college, though, I remember I went to USC, and I remember hanging out with some football players and being like, well, you guys see me as one of the boys. And they're like, no, we don't. And I said this to Michael Che last week. I was like, no. You guys are the SNL one. Somebody that works at SNL was in Paris with us for the Olympics. And I was like, well, they like hanging out with me because I'm like one of the boys. And Lauren is her name. Lauren asked Michael, he came down the hall. She's like, do you see Ego as one of the boys? And he's like, no, hell no. Little sister.
That's even funnier that you think of yourself as one of the boys, and they're like, no.
they're all like, what are you talking about? And I go, and then even when Michael's like, hell no, I was thinking about it days later when I was driving upstate. I was like, well, I get it. He thinks he doesn't see me that way, but that's how he sees me.
Do you want to be seen as one of the boys? What?
No, I just like, I don't know. I don't actually care how I'm seen in that regard, but I'm a little like, I don't know what that's about, because even I promise you, I was still like, well, he just doesn't understand how he sees me.